These 3 habits took me from not having enough money to buy Starbucks, my card literally got declined trying to buy an iced coffee, to making a full-time income producing music in less than a year. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what were the things that took me from wanting to be a full-time music producer to actually being one. The advice people normally give online actually moved me further away from my goals. Here's some advice that didn't work for me. You need balance. Create when you're inspired. You're an artist. Do what you feel. This may be good advice on how to be comfortable, but it just didn't help me at all. The habits that helped me the most were pretty much the exact opposite of what you normally hear. If I had adopted these habits from day one, I could have avoided a lot of pain, frustration, and I would have achieved my goal of making a living as a music producer much faster. Habit number 1, doing less. It was clear that I needed to do more of the things that moved me towards my goal of becoming a full-time music producer, but to do more of the right things, I needed to do less of the wrong things. I needed to reframe the way I looked at music production. In my head, it was something that I did on the side that honestly I was kind of embarrassed about because nobody made beats or did anything like that where I was from. I had to get into the habit of thinking about music and my business as my number 1 priority, and everything else was secondary, whether that be a job, social life, school, or whatever. Music is what I did first, and then everything else had to fit in around that, which, to be truthful, was terrifying at the time, but I knew it was the only chance I had of being able to accomplish my mission. What I wanted to accomplish was such a statistically improbable thing. I needed to dedicate as much of that time and energy as possible into figuring out how to make this thing work. Pretty much anything that didn't contribute to my goal, I cut out. I wasn't really going out, I wasn't playing video games, and I was hanging with my friends much less than I used to. I quit using my old social media accounts from high school, and I started my producer account where I only saw producer content. And even then, I tried to minimize the amount of content I consumed. This part may be a bit extreme, but I needed to design my life in a way that nobody else was able to control my time and take away valuable energy that I needed to put into getting better at music and growing my business. I cut my expenses as much as I could so that I wouldn't put myself in a bad financial position. I think I got it down to $600-700 a month at the lowest. This put me in a position to not have to need a job that would take away time and mental energy and let me put all that into figuring this out. This left me with a wide open schedule, and as long as I didn't fill it with any nonsense, I had no choice but to work on my business. However, getting rid of distractions by itself wasn't enough. This next habit helped me figure out what to do with all this time. Habit number 2, looking at myself as an entrepreneur instead of an artist. Make the music you're inspired to make is the worst career advice I've ever heard. Looking at myself as an entrepreneur, building a business and selling a product was a much more effective habit than thinking I'm some great artist that can create whatever I feel like and expecting people to throw money at me. If I wanted to do this for a living, I needed to develop the habit of making what works instead of what I felt like. Imagine if Starbucks sold whatever they were in the mood for that day. Say you go to order a coffee and they say, actually we're in the mood to serve soda today. How often would you go back? Or would you go to the place that you know for sure you're going to get coffee when you're in the mood for coffee? This didn't mean that I recreated the same beat every day, but I worked backwards from what the audience I was building wanted and did my best to deliver that as often as possible. But this wasn't the only thing that changed. It also led to me studying marketing, branding, and consumer behavior just as much, if not more, than the music. And that showed me that the quality of the music was not the only factor determining whether or not I accomplished my goal. Warren Buffett says, it's more important what boat you're in than how hard you row. I've learned that I could have the same level of skill and invest the same amount of time into 2 different opportunities, and I could have completely different results. This led to me thinking a lot about what's the best way to invest my time, and that led to me making smarter choices. Instead of messaging back and forth with a rapper for 2 hours trying to get him to buy 1 beat for $15, I decided to invest that time into studying the YouTube algorithm and how to position myself for exponential growth. That way, instead of reaching 5 rappers a day, I could potentially reach 100,000 rappers a day through YouTube. When my sales got up to $30,000-40,000 a month, I was working the same amount as when my sales were less than $1,000 a month. I just invested the time into identifying and pursuing a better opportunity. This didn't mean jumping from opportunity to opportunity every 10 minutes. I prioritized discipline and committed to the opportunity that I believed was the best for me, while ignoring a lot of pretty good alternative opportunities. You can have anything you want, but not everything you want. By doing this, I was able to shorten the amount of time it took me to reach my goals. Even though exponential growth was what I wanted, focusing too much on that actually held me back. I had to develop this last habit to actually start making progress. Habit number 3, quit worrying about blowing up. The worst habit that I had was thinking that one day I was going to go from no progress to magically becoming this big success overnight with literally no strategy to get there. Because I wanted to achieve success so fast, it actually led me to making incredibly dumb short-term decisions and prevented me from building anything of value. I needed to humble myself and accept that this was going to be a long grind. I need to start small. Therefore, I reframed my goals. Instead of worrying about being this big, vague success, whatever that meant, I developed the habit of only worrying about getting better. It wasn't until then that I started taking baby steps towards my goals and began moving in a positive direction. Every single day, I just got up and spent my whole day trying to improve. Selling one more beat than the month before was a success. 10 more views on a YouTube upload than the one before was progress. This was much more encouraging than constantly feeling like I was failing because my music didn't get played as much as Drake's that day. I still made sure I was pursuing a worthy opportunity, but I really wasn't concerned with the final outcome. If it was going to take 10 years to build something legit, so be it. I was just happy with the fact that as long as I made just a little bit of money, I got to make music and just work on getting better all day long. Ironically, after doing that for a little over a year, that actually led me to experiencing exponential growth. And I went from earning $80 in a month to making over $43,000 in a month a little over a year later. If you want to see the full timeline of how that happened, check out this video about how I made over $800,000 selling beats online. If this video helped you out in some way, make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Peace.